my topic is sleep, immunity, and COVID-19. Your sleep and health is particularly important during these days of challenges with the COVID-19 because it is the immune system that gives you the edge or the odd against the virus. As a board-certified sleep specialist and immunologist, I want to share with you 3 secret challenges an entrepreneur faces in their life. I know you guys, including me, I am an entrepreneur, and we are pros in the domains of power, possession, and money, but we do not do well in the domain of what we eat and then how we sleep. And that is why my focus is to look at primarily the 2 axes, the sleep and the gut axis, and then the gut and the lung axis. To look at the sleep and the gut axis, when you are acutely sleep deprived, then your lymphocytes, the adaptive immunity system, becomes weak even 1 day after you are sleepless. And when you're chronically sleep deprived, you must have heard of the inflammatory storm, the IL-6. It is the inflammatory storm that really defeats us when you are hit with the coronavirus. So by sleeping correctly, consolidating your sleep, you are going to have that edge against the virus. Now looking at the gut-lung axis, your gut is the master of all the mucous membrane in your body. And the master communicates with the rest of the mucous membrane, like in the upper respiratory tract, urinary tract, or in your lungs by what is called cytokines. What we specifically want to remember is a short chain fatty acid, butyric acid, acetic acid, and propionic acid. With that introduction, 3 tools I want to share with you: light, fasting, and food. The light switch, the sunlight as a natural light and not exposing to blue light. Now we'll elaborate on it. And the next tool is when you eat, particularly time restricted feeding, which is called time restricted eating in animals, and that is intermittent fasting. And the third tool is what you eat, specifically focused on how you empower your gut bacteria. Thereby, it communicates with your brain for better sleep and to your immune system for empowered immune system. Tools are not enough. Have you heard the saying? When you see a nail, when you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. Only that is true if you hold the hammer right. So we are going to summarize how we are going to use these tools. So next slide, please. So sleep and circadian rhythm, that is called light effect. If you expose yourself at least for 15 minutes, ideally up to 60 minutes to real sunlight outside, then it is going to program your inner part of the brain, which is the sleep center, that is called suprachiasmatic nucleus. And so you are synchronizing yourself to the circadian rhythm. Particularly important for we who work in the Silicon Valley is not to expose yourself to blue light in the evening, particularly after sunset, because that is when the dim light melatonin secretion begins. You want to avoid exposure to your screen time that emits blue light, such as your cell phone, your computer, your video game, and television. And you have, in fact, one can use the gadgets that blocks the blue light so that you can optimize your immune system by timed circadian rhythm of melatonin. And if you're a shift worker, of course, that's a different challenge. You had to bank your sleep. This is the key of the learning. We have two brains. The first brain is in your head. The second brain is in your gut. And these two brains have their own clock. And you want to synchronize the circadian rhythm of your brain and circadian rhythm of your gut to optimize the microbiome in your gut. Now, as we already covered, the circadian rhythm in your brain is based on the light and darkness. And now, in the gut, it is also dependent on the time of eating and then your overall activity as well. So, intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding allows you to foster the beneficial bacteria, which is called the keystone bacteria, Faecobacterium, Akkermansia, and Bifidobacterium, and so forth, which help you to increase that short chain fatty acid. The very simple way you can eat right would be to stay away from processed food, like a processed carbohydrate, like bread, pasta, tortilla, rice, and so forth, and switch to whole grains. And the resistant starch is the key in fostering the beneficial bacteria. Resistant starch means the starch that is not digested in your stomach or small intestine. It goes to your large intestine, which is the fermentation chamber of your food, because the food you have eaten is eaten for the second time by the bacteria. And the resistant starch we recommend are like uncooked. I mean, really, if you have potato starch is by far the king of resistant starch. And there is a new research done, in fact, that the potato starch that is easily available in the American market and that is very inexpensive, and that one fosters the short chain fatty acid that I mentioned. If you are a rice eater, you can cook your rice and put it in the refrigerator for 7 to 10 hours, then it becomes resistant starch. Same is true for pasta and the potatoes and so forth. So, in short, I have given you 3 tools. One is to use sunlight and use the artificial light in a clever way to synchronize your circadian rhythm. Second is intermittent fasting to foster your gut bacteria. And then finally, eat resistant starch that will produce the short chain fatty acid that will give you good night's sleep even on the first day itself you try. And the best time to consume it is about half an hour before your dinner. And that gives you not only good night sleep, but gives you the powerful REM sleep. And that's what we call the American dream, but you get it and claim it on the same day and by sleeping before midnight rather than burning the midnight oil. And with that note, thank you very much.